The carrier, Izumo, is the country's first warship capable of operating fixed-wing airplanes since World War II. Izumo has recently emerged from the first part of a two-part refit designed to allow her to operate F-35Bs. Japan has up to 42 F-35Bs on order and is conducting refits on Izumo and her sister ship, Kaga. Izumo will operate the Marine Corps F-35B fighters for an undisclosed amount of time. It will not be a full-fledged deployment, while Japan waits for its own fleet of F-35Bs to arrive sometime in the next 5 years. Marine Corps Commandant General David Berger made the announcement last Wednesday as the Royal Navy aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth is visiting Yokosuka, Japan. A Marine Corps F-35B squadron is deployed aboard Queen Elizabeth for the duration of the ship's maiden voyage, which is taking it halfway around the world to visit countries across the Asia-Pacific. Queen Elizabeth is designed to accommodate up to 36 F-35Bs and currently operates about 18. Including 10 from the Marine Corps Strike Fighter Squadron VMFA 211, the Wake Island Avengers, and 8 jets from the Royal Air Force's 617 Fighter Squadron. The U.S. Marines have operated F-35Bs from amphibious assault ships since 2018, building upon their long experience operating the AV-8B Harrier II jump jet. The US and UK agreed on the joint deployment in the late 2010s, and Japan, inspired by the concept, invited American planes to operate from the Japanese ship. Like the UK, Japan has F-35Bs on order from U.S. defense contractor Lockheed Martin and is eager to begin practice carrier operations. The F-35B is broadly similar to the Air Force's F-35A and Navy F-35C but differs in the ability to take off and land vertically. Unlike its cousins, the F-35B can rotate its exhaust nozzle straight down. This generates upward thrust, propelling the plane straight up, or lowering it gently to a ship's flight deck. The F-35C was built for aircraft carriers but requires ships with built-in catapults and arresting gear to facilitate takeoffs and landings. The F-35B, however, can operate from virtually anywhere, as long as it has a few hundred feet to conduct a short rolling takeoff and a relatively small spot to land vertically. The F-35B can take off vertically, but doing so greatly restricts the amount of fuel and weapons it can carry. The F-35B's versatility has led it to become the go-to fighter jet for navies that don't use traditional aircraft carrier catapults and arresting gear. The Royal Navy operates them from the new carriers HMS Queen Elizabeth and HMS Prince of Wales. The Italian Navy will also operate the F-35B from the carrier its Cavour. Japan's Maritime Self-Defense Force will operate them off JS Izumo and JS Kaga, while South Korea is currently designing the country's first aircraft carrier to accommodate F-35Bs. JS Izumo was commissioned in March 2015 as a so-called helicopter destroyer. Japan's surface warships are built with convoy escort duties in mind, a legacy of the starvation blockade imposed by the U.S. Navy during World War II. Japanese naval planners have plotted a return to aircraft carriers for decades but were stymied by the country's pacifist-minded constitution and a prohibition on aircraft carriers as offensive weapons of war. The commissioning of China's first carrier, Liaoning, in 2012 changed all of that. Izumo and her sister ship Kaga were built to operate large numbers of anti-submarine helicopters but also just coincidentally with aircraft elevators rated to take the weight of a F-35B fighter bomber. The decision was made in 2019 that both ships could become defensive aircraft carriers, allowing more planes to operate from Japan's westernmost islands without opening more airbases on the ground. Izumo was the first ship to enter the shipyard for a carrier conversion, entering the shipyard in Yokohama in March 2020. The first step was, like older American amphibious ships undergoing a similar conversion, to add a heat-resistant coating to Izumo's flight deck. The F-35B's ability to take off and land vertically means the exhaust nozzle often ends up pointing straight at the flight deck, resulting in heat damage to untreated ships. According to Naval News, the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force will complete the conversion process during a second refit in 2026. The F-35 program has been controversial, to say the least. But one of the more intriguing aspects is the fighter's ability to operate from any platform capable of supporting it. While that's always been a selling point, it's taken on new meaning as China's neighbors counteract the country's military rise and aggressive foreign policy. American jets can now operate off Japanese ships, and vice versa, and even European warships such as Queen Elizabeth can get into the act. That sends a powerful message of unity to Beijing, one that hopefully will temper its ambitions abroad.